All right. So first, I want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the session this evening. We're very much looking forward to hearing from our SNHU alumni employer panelists tonight. If you have not already, please feel free to share your name and your major or degree in the chat box. And maybe even share your LinkedIn if you have one for further networking with your peers. That'd be excellent. And again, my name is Corey White. I am a employer relations partner with the SNHU Career Services team here at SNHU. And I'm joined this evening by my fellow colleagues, Mark Schappert, Sonia Moffett, and Dave Munn. They'll be helping out kind of in the background and helping out in the chat box, providing resources and different things throughout the session. And collecting student questions in the chat box as well for the live portion of the Q&A later on in the event. So our session actually will be moderated tonight as well by none other than the incomparable Executive Director of Business Programs, Dr. Jennifer Teague. So we're very excited to have her join us as well. And we're very excited to kind of get this thing started and kickstart the event. So again, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Your experience here, I just have a few housekeeping items to go through and an agenda, so bear with us. But your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is very important to us. It is our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of this presentation's design or delivery that present barriers to accessibility, please do notify us and reach out to the following resources. So you can reach out to the Online Accessibility Center at OAC at snhu.edu or by phone at 866-305-9430, or the Campus Accessibility Center as well. And for any SNHU staff and faculty joining us, our HR office as well at hr@snhu.edu. I wanted to also give you a sneak peek for the rest of this week's upcoming schedule. So this is called Business Career Week 2024. So tonight is the Alumni Recruiting Business Students virtual panel, but we have a very great session happening tomorrow at noon. Which will be with Matt Burnt from Indeed. He's a career strategist, so it's a great opportunity for you if you're wanting some help with your career management and ask him pretty much anything. So bring your burning questions and come to that session. That'll be tomorrow at noon. And then on Thursday, to kind of cap off our week, we have a exciting session with Sherwin-Williams around their business management opportunities and their training program. So definitely check that out as well. Please also keep in mind that SNHU Career Services is a lifetime benefit and is included here, your journey here at SNHU. Our team does provide many different things from career support and guidance to resume reviews, mock interview practice, job and internship search techniques, and much more. And you can work with a career advisor one-on-one. You can email us at cocecareer@snhu.edu or give us a call at 888-672-1458. And also have some really exciting other resources here to share with you as well. So we definitely encourage you to explore Handshake, our career platform for helping you with job opportunities or looking at events or networking, as well as just a whole bunch of social networking outlets to connect with us as well. And then we also have our online virtual student career center that's called Career 360. That's jam-packed with all kinds of curated resources and content to meet your individual needs. So certainly check that out if you haven't. it's awesome. And then as far as our agenda tonight, we will be introducing our alumni panelists who work across talent acquisition and recruiting. Of course, Dr. Teague will ask a couple of moderated starter questions to kind of get the conversation going with our panelists, to learn a little bit more about their career paths and company opportunities. And then finally, we'll close it up with opening up to our audience for live Q&A. Again, please keep yourself on mute during the presentation, and if you have a question, you can enter it into the chat. Sonia and Dave will be there to grab those for later on during Q&A. And if you are comfortable at that portion of the session, you'll also have an opportunity to use the raise hand feature, which is up at the top, and come off mute and ask your question live to our panelists. So we're certainly looking forward to that and learning a little bit more about their perspective and that type of thing. So without further ado, I am going to get us started with introducing our panelists this evening. So first up, we have Mona, who is a senior manager at Autodesk, and she received her master's from SNHU in 2014. So if you want to come off mute, Mona, and just say hi to the audience quickly, and then we'll move on to the next panelist.
Sure. Hello, everyone. So great to be here. I'm going to also be posting my LinkedIn profile in the chat. Feel free to connect afterward.
Awesome. Thanks, Mona. Next up, I don't know if Nicole joined us or not.
I think we can jump past Nicole, Corey.
Okay. Sounds good. Also this evening, we have Julia. She is from Avantive Solutions. She's a senior HR director with them, and she received her MBA from SNHU in 2023. Julia, if you want to come off and say hi to the audience.
Sure, and you'll find me easier on LinkedIn if you use my real first name, which is Julie.
Thanks, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
And next up is Leslie. She is a senior specialist talent acquisition with Toyota Boshoku America, and she received her dual bachelor's from SNHU in 2018. Leslie, if you want to come off and say hi to the audience.
Yes, thank you everybody for having me here. It's nice to meet you all.
And last but certainly not least, Dr. Jennifer Teague is here with us as well, who will be moderating tonight's panel. Dr. Teague serves as the Executive Director of Online Business Programs here at Southern New Hampshire University, a scholar practitioner in international management. She has nearly 20 years of experience with leadership and in global higher education. Her work is dedicated to empowering first-generation students and expanding access to experiential learning for online learners. So thanks so much for being here, Dr. Teague. If you want to come off and say hi to the audience.
Absolutely. Delighted to be here.
Excellent. So with that, I will hand it over to Dr. Teague to get us started with the first question.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Corey, and thanks to the whole careers team for organizing an event like this. I saw a lot of comments in the chat saying, we need this kind of information, we need this kind of networking, and it's such a privilege for me to be here with you, because while I get to work on developing amazing programs for each one of you, we couldn't do this work without our career partners. So they are very humble, but I hope you all know what a treasure we have in them, both as individuals and as a collective team. This is one of the ways that SNHU and SNHU Business in particular stands out from the rest. So it's my privilege to be here with them. Absolutely. So I am going to start us off, and Mona, you're going to be first up. The first question that I have, which will be the same for all of our panelists, is just introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about your company and the types of opportunities that exist at your company for students and recent graduates, alumni who are interested in business-oriented careers. So Mona, if you don't mind starting us off.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Mona, and I am Group Engineering Manager or Senior Manager, as Corey mentioned, at Autodesk. I've been actually with the company for nearly 10 years now, and I've been in so many different roles, different teams, and different functions during that time. Autodesk, if you're not familiar with the company, we are mostly known for some of our 3D software, 3D design software like AutoCAD, Maya. But technically, anything you see around you, from buildings, bridges, cars, to your phone, to even your headphone, they have to be designed in 3D before they get to production. And Autodesk is one of the lead companies in providing those software, especially in AEC, manufacturing, and entertainment field. And then the question was about getting to the field of business entry level. So Autodesk has extensive internship program, and we take that very seriously. Not only that, we always dedicate a budget every year to hire interns in different fields and functions, but also we always have a target goal percentage to convert those interns to full-time employees. And that's the easiest way for managers to go about hiring someone with zero to, also some of the interns have some experience, but mostly entry level with very little work experience, because that way we get to interact with the intern and get to know them better closely, and also understanding their softer skills, and then request to convert those over once they're graduated. But aside from that, also we do have some entry-level jobs in marketing, finance, business consultant, and such. And that's changing all the time. It's very dynamic career page that every week we post new jobs.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for making that call out to the internship path, particularly for those who have limited experience, because that's one of the challenges that we've all faced when we're near graduation is, how do I get into a field if I don't have any experience? So that's really wonderful advice. Julie, I'm going to turn to you next with the same question. Introduce yourself, your company, the types of opportunities that are out there in business.
Okay, thank you. I'm Julie Vaya. I'm the Senior HR Director for Avantive Solutions. I'm based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We are an inbound, outbound call center, as well as a provider of business process outsourcing. I have been here for 2 years and landed the job just as I was finished my MBA at SNHU, and my undergrad was done at San Diego State University decades ago. There are not a lot of positions in my company that do require a degree, but having a degree when working in this industry is definitely one of those fast tracks when there are opportunities for promotion. We live and breathe data. We have been using AI for call analysis for quite some time. So when we look to fill those roles in those areas, we are absolutely going to weigh someone with a degree more than anyone else.
Thank you, Julie. And again, these are the kind of tidbits of information that you don't know unless somebody tells you. So understanding how resumes are read in this new age of digital recruiting, that's a really, really great tip. Thank you. And Leslie, same question for you.
There we go. Had to unmute myself. So my name is Leslie Thompson. I'm a Senior Talent Acquisition Specialist at Toyota Boshoku. I've been here 7 years. Prior to that, I was at Toyota Motor corporate office as well for a few years. So our company is the original Toyota company. We've been around 105 years. And we specialize on interiors and seating for high-speed rail trains, international airlines, and in the U.S., we focus on automotive interiors for Lexus, Toyota, BMW, Mercedes, Subaru, and Saab. We have 11 U.S. locations, and we hire graduates for purchasing, production control, accounting, corporate strategy, HR, legal, and a lot of our supervisory that's on the manufacturing floor. So I'm located in our corporate office, and we have probably about 450 people within the corporate office. And during COVID, we decided that it was better for us, since we do travel from corporate a lot to our North and South America locations, that we all went remote. So we all work from home now. If you're on the manufacturing side and you're at one of the plant locations, you would be there on site. But our salary option positions do have opportunities to work from home 1 to 2 days a week.
Thanks, Leslie. That's a great call out too, because as we know, there were virtually no silver linings to COVID. But if we were really forced to think about it, one of them was the more rapid adoption of remote working. And so that's opened up opportunities for a lot of folks that might not have been able to work in certain fields or for certain companies. So it's wonderful to hear a success story with remote work. I'm going to switch gears to our next question. And it's actually, I think, my favorite question, because I think hearing about people's journeys is a wonderful way for students and alumni, and even for colleagues, to recognize that there's no one straight path to success. To get where you are, we're all a combination of all of our experiences. So to that end, I'd like to ask each panelist to share a little bit with us about your career journey and a couple of valuable lessons you've learned along the way about career advancement and success. So I'm going to hand over to Mona first.
Sure. There's so many things, but one of the things that usually come to mind when someone asks me this question is about lateral moves. Autodesk is a large company, and I can imagine that in a larger company, this is more feasible. In smaller company, it might be a little bit challenging, but lateral moves are very valuable. And I know when we set our career goals and career plan, usually we look for promotion and advancing the role we are, but a lot of time for us to advance to higher position, we have to have lateral move. We have to expand the area and the domain that we understand in the company to be able to now oversee those organizations and those teams. So myself, I started actually as part of the sales organization in the company. I started as technical consultant. Usually consultant, immediately we think that there are third-party companies that we consult or contract with, but a lot of major companies, a lot of large corporations, they also have consulting within their company because they have customers that they need consulting. So this is the consulting team within Autodesk that I started. And quite honestly, when I was applying, I didn't apply for this job. I was applying for a different job. And luckily, my application was picked up by a different recruiter for a technical consultant that I didn't even know that role exists and what does that mean. So I started there and then shifting eventually to the product side of the company using my transferable skills. I had great knowledge about the product that I was applying for, but the role was new. And then from there, shifting to engineering side and eventually the management part of this. Just moving around, eventually that created a collection of experience and knowledge, knowing what are the pain points that our customers have and their experience, because as a consultant, I was working with them directly, and then bringing that knowledge to the product, helping prioritize our roadmap and our backlog, and eventually also managing the team that is going to do the development against those roadmaps. So I do think that sometimes these lateral moves are underestimated, or we are really focusing on advancing and being promoted. And eventually you're going to see that how this is going to slow down. Eventually when you start, it's going to go faster, but eventually it's going to slow down how you get promoted. And don't ever underestimate the value of moving to other teams or other domain to expand that knowledge.
That's awesome, Mona. And what that really kind of makes me think about is the transferability of skills that you're, as part of your education and as part of your informal experience development, you're constantly building this toolkit of skills. And regardless of what seat you're sitting in, those skills can be transferable. So that focus on skill development is a great call out. Julie, I'm going to hand over to you. We'd love to hear your story.
Well, my professional career started as a corporate trainer. And the toughest thing about getting my corporate trainer job going was I didn't have experience and no one wanted to hire me. And back then, they also didn't have a degree that was just for training and development. So I was a secretary right out of college. Not exactly why I went there. But once I did get my foot into the door with the corporate training world, I became a curriculum designer as well as a classroom presenter. Loved it for 15 years. After I recovered from being burnt out, I entered the human resources field, which is always related to training in some way, shape, or form anyway. And I have been in an HR management role for 21 years now. A valuable lesson, especially in the HR field, is not to get tied to a particular industry, because our skills in HR are very transferable. And that can come in handy with the volatile work environment we have. Post-pandemic, everything is different on how we hire, how we interview, et cetera. But at least having a base skill set that can go to different industries can help continue to move forward. Then the advice I have is when you're asked to do something, the answer is yes. You have no idea. You might have a passion you don't know that you have. I think if you talk to a lot of HR professionals, so many people fell into this position. It was a rotation they had to do, and they're like, wait, I kind of like this stuff. And then it became their new passion. I've got people that used to be in marketing. I've got a data scientist that's in HR. It's all kinds of people fall into it. But one of the reasons they could is they said yes to the opportunity that was being presented to them.
I just could love that anymore, Julie. And I saw lots of nods and smiles because I think that's something that many of us can relate to. I certainly know from my own lens, I actually started out not in higher ed, but in anti-corruption, a little bit different. And I had the chance to teach some classes and I thought, oh, I kind of dig this. So I never said, oh, I want to be in higher ed when I grow up. And it was only through saying yes to those other experiences that I really found my passion for not just teaching, but for higher ed and the business of higher ed. So I really like that advice. Always say yes.
Yep.
Leslie.
Yes, so I was a non-traditional student at SNHU and didn't start my degree until the age of 45. So prior to that, I had owned my own business in California for 15 years while raising and homeschooling my kids. And we relocated to Kentucky following my husband's career. And so at that time, I sold the business and went to work for the outside world. So I did not have a career path for HR. I was actually looking for a purchasing position because that was my background. And Toyota decided I was more for HR. And that's how I landed in HR. So wasn't any intent on my part. But as far as a valuable lesson that I can pass on to everyone, it would be to take on the challenges. One of the things that came across is that Toyota does a lot of large projects and they like to assign people to those projects. And so I was always that person raising my hand and taking on those challenges and pushing myself outside that box. The more challenges I took on, the more experience I got, and the faster I climbed up that corporate ladder. So as a result, that opened up doors for me to travel to a lot of our locations in other countries. I work with a team and we travel around to our suppliers, and I go in and analyze HR departments for our suppliers, because if there's a problem with going out to suppliers, they can't provide parts and merchandise for us to do a finished product to sell to our end user. So there's a trickle down effect. And so that's a lot of what I do in addition to my daily activities.
Thanks so much for sharing, Leslie. I think the common theme in all of those responses is, again, that path may not be linear. You may, as Mona said, you may grow laterally. As Julie said, you may not recognize that this is where you're going to shine. So you want to say yes to everything. And as Leslie said, your path can change. We know that research tells us that very, very few people, I don't want to make up statistics for you, but I will, a large percentage of people do not stay with the same career path that they started out on. It's very common to have between 5 and 7 different careers within the span of one professional lifetime. So where you start today is very likely not where you're going to end up. And that's okay, because all those skills are leading you to that very perfect place in your career. So I'm going to shift. Oh, yes.
Just one quick thing. My CEO is a mechanical engineer.
There
And
you
he's
go.
the CEO of a company that's got nothing to do with engineering. So said yes to everything.
I love that. And it's so true, Julie, isn't it? That it's scary to say yes. And, you know, just sharing my own experience, one of the very best pieces of advice I ever got was from a provost of a university I was at before. And when I left to take this role, this was a senior leadership role. And he said to me, it's okay not to have all the answers because everybody's figuring it out. And that was such a wonderful kind of norming for me that I wish somebody would have said to me earlier in my career, that we're all figuring it out, whether you're a student, whether you're an alumni. That's, Dana, I love that. It's everyone else's first time living too. We're all figuring it out. And what I love about this SNHU community is that we're figuring it out together. So thank y'all for sharing that. I'm going to move to our final moderated question before we open up for some more general open Q&A. And that's, what advice would you offer to students looking to launch a professional career? So that could include things like volunteering, internships, any specific course advice, networking opportunities. What's something you know now that you wish somebody would have told you when you were starting out your career? So Mona, I'm going to hand to you first.
So all of the above. You listed all the great things that they should be doing. But if I have to pick one, because it's really hard depending on your situation, right? If you think that something is missing from your resume, obviously getting educated or adding that thing to your resume is higher priority. But networking, and not only to start, throughout your career, it doesn't matter how senior you get, you need to continue to networking. A lot of time, even like if they're job fairs, if there are any opportunity that you can get in person to introduce yourself to people, to shake their hand and tell them what you work on and what is you're interested in, it goes a long way. I remember that a few years ago, I was at the job fair, actually hosted at our company, and I met this brilliant person that now is working on our team, and it's one of the best decisions in my career to hire this person. But this person, it did not come from a traditional path. This person went to through boot camp and didn't have any experience. It didn't have any internship because we didn't offer internship for boot camp students. So there was no way for me to hire a person like this unless I would meet them in person, and the impression that they made on me, that they were motivated, self-started, and that connection was their opportunity to get to the field and get to the market. And now moving forward, they have that experience on their resume that they can just apply and continue to grow their career. And one of the advice that I would give, like I wish I knew earlier when I started, was that don't just limit yourself to a specific job title, because honestly, the same job titles in even one company can mean different things, yet alone across different companies, different industries. So don't look at the title itself. Look over job description and see what interests you. And with the tools that we have right now out there, you can even search for job by skills or specific technology. So don't just search for a specific title. As I said, I started as technical consultant and I was looking for software engineer roles, right? I applied for that role, but I got a technical consultant that I didn't even know what that is. And it's a potential for me. So that's, yeah, a couple of things.
Thank you, Mona. Your point about networking really resonates. And I know I am an extroverted introvert. And that traditional idea of networking stresses me out, because I know some of you may feel the same way. It might feel forced or uncomfortable. You're stepping out of that comfort zone. So when I'm networking, I don't even think about that word. I think about getting to know people and hearing their stories, because everyone, as you've already seen here, everyone here has a unique and an interesting story. So that's one of the ways I approach networking is you're an introverted extrovert too. You understand, Daisy. I think when we hear people's stories, we're connecting with them in a much more authentic way than just randomly adding people on LinkedIn because they're in the same field. And Mona's given a great example of how that connection as part of networking is so potentially valuable in the workplace. So thank you for sharing that, Mona. Julie, what about you?
Singing the same song. I'm a situational extrovert, so I got my little twist there. Networking, it's got to be networking, and your approach should not be what can someone do for me. Your approach needs to be what can you do for them. So you approach them saying, I'm here, I'm new, I'm trying to do this. What can I do for you? What can I help? That will naturally turn into conversation of how they can help you. A perspective I can share is I just closed a posting I had that did require a degree, and it was remote. I had 856 applications. I needed 5. Think about that for a second. I had 856 applications that I had to open and disposition. Yes, no, move them on, etc. I was looking for a reason to say no. So will a typo on your resume knock you out? Yes, it will. So make sure you are always presenting your best forward, because you don't want that little thing to knock you out. But I have to find a way to get through 856 applications. So blame me for that if you want to, but talk to any other honest HR person like, yeah, we're looking for a reason to say no and move on to the next one and trim it down to who we can say yes to. If someone came to me though and said, hey, my friend so-and-so or someone I know that applied, absolutely, I will look at that. I will go straight to that, search the name, and if there's anything I can glom onto, I'm like, okay, yes, we can talk to that. So you have to know people. You have to know a lot of people. And you don't know if that person knows someone who knows someone who knows someone. The connections are all over the place. Now, the ATS you're applying into, the applicant tracking systems, yes, they're black holes. They're black holes. That's rarely the way you're going to find the job. But by knowing someone or knowing someone who knows someone, you are going to find that there are a lot of us that want to help. Now, granted, that's a little bit of the nature of HR people. We want to help. We're that weird combination of we want to help, a psychologist and a lawyer. You make that work. But I'm always looking and listening. I don't have anything, but I know someone who does. And I just touched base with a guy that I've known for a lot of years. And he said, hey, it was just my 10th anniversary at this company. And I just kind of sat there and smiled. And I said, you would have never been interviewing at that job if you didn't know me. I'm being a braggy, because I knew him from retail. This was a warehouse job, but I knew he was a very smart individual that could learn. And to find out that he's still there 10 years later, just that's the stuff that keeps me going, is when I can make those connections. So the mistake some people make with networking is what can you do for me? It's turn it around. What can you do for them? And learn their story, get those ideas. And as soon as you've made that connection, that story that kicks in, I'm the type of person I'm going to remember saying, well, I don't know anyone who's got their CPA, but let me go ask. And there goes the network connection, and it could happen.
Yeah. And Julie, that's such honest and direct advice. And that's exactly the kind of advice that I think those of us in our careers wish we would have had when we were starting out. And I hope for everybody listening that you really take on board what Julie's saying. I obviously work in higher ed. Every time I advertise for a position, I also have hundreds of applicants, and I typically need one. So I can appreciate what you're saying, that there is a certain reality to how your application and resume makes it to the right place. I've seen several different comments as I've kind of been looking at the chat, talking about the difficulty with the remote nature of work in terms of a networking or searching for remote jobs in particular. And I want to acknowledge that. I'm not going to sell you a bill of goods that makes it easier. Sometimes it can make it more challenging, because if all we have to do is click a button to apply, more people are clicking that button. And so to Julie's point, there have to be ways for us to sift through that vast number. I will not be the expert in this, but what I will definitely lean on our experts that are here in the room in career services is understand how ATS works and understand how to customize your resume for each individual job posting. I wish somebody would have said that to me. That each application you make should not be generic. It should be tailored specifically for that job to help you stand out against those 856 or 855 other people. So I'm going to hand over to Leslie to hear a little bit about your advice.
Yeah, I was also reading some of the chats, and so I think this might help a lot because I was, as a non-traditional student, and I was moving cross country to Kentucky. I didn't have any networking. I didn't know a single soul where I was going. So here I was getting this degree from SNHU, and I was getting close to the end of that, and I wanted to put that and apply that to my future career. So I actually started volunteering at local charities and stuff. And as a result, that started networking. So as I kept showing up at different charities, I started meeting other people. I ran into a second chance group. They asked me to speak. I spoke at it. That led to something else where I went to the Cincinnati Women's Group. They had me speak in a forum there. Then schools started asking me to come by. Libraries that had these job searches that they were doing for people, helping them write resumes. So I started networking through volunteering. And that led from one thing to another. And Toyota actually sought me out. So I didn't have to go find the job. They actually came to me just by all this networking because, I had personal business cards made up with my LinkedIn and my phone number, and started handing those out with my resumes and just meeting and greeting people. And that opened that door up for me. And then when I got the job and I started recruiting, I already had a network of people to work with because I could call on them. They were referring people to me, and I had this huge candidate pool that was already set and put in place, all because I started volunteering at different locations.
Leslie, amazing advice. And again, I saw so many head nods during that response because that is such a wonderful way, not just to network, but also to share your talents with others and to serve your community. So it's a win-win both ways. And you find that in volunteer opportunities, you can advance pretty quickly when nobody's getting paid. So it gives you a chance to get really broad experience in a lot of different areas that you might not be able to necessarily engage with in paid work. So volunteer work can absolutely be a great resume booster, but it can also be a great way also to engage with your community. So thank you for sharing that with us. So what a privilege it has been to interact with our three panelists and to hear their stories and their very honest and very sage advice. Again, I just want to reinforce, I know Sonia's been posting a lot of information about the services we offer here at Career. They do not give me a dollar to say this. This is the most robust career services group that I have ever worked with in 20 years in higher ed. The benefits that they provide, and I keep seeing the word free and in bold, the free benefits that they provide to you, not just when you're a student, but throughout your professional journey as an alumni as well, are just second to none. So truly do reach out to them and connect with them because that kind of advice and connection is invaluable. And I'll drop my LinkedIn in the chat. You're also welcome to check out and connect with me in LinkedIn. So I'm going to hand back over to Corey. Thank you for letting me spend this time with you, Corey. I really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Dr. Teague, and panelists. Awesome advice and a lot of engagement in the chat. So it's truly been a pleasure to listen to all of that advice, and I know our students certainly appreciate all of your wisdom that you've come by in your careers so far. So with that, we've hit the portion of tonight's event where we're going to do some Q&A live. So If you have a burning question on your mind, now's your time and your opportunity to get a chance to ask our panelists. So if you want to go ahead and hit the raise hand feature, we'll do it old school, and it goes in order. So it makes it easy for me as well.
Great.
And I'll give a call on you and we'll go from there. And I know Sonia and some of my colleagues will be getting questions in the chat. So go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to let you know we did have some questions that came in while the panelists were speaking, and so hopefully we can start off with those before we go into the live chat. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
Wonderful. Okay, so let me get the first question up. We had a question from Tiara. She said she just received her MBA, was unfortunately laid off recently, and she wanted to know from our panelists, are there any tips or advice for landing employment at this point for her? And anyone can take that question.
I think maybe all of us are trying to want to say yes, but I was in a similar situation. I have been laid off, I've been job eliminated, I've been everything, and I've had gaps in my employment. Call yourself a consultant and it looks fine on your resume. There's not that magic bullet. There's not that, oh, we'll go do this and go do that and this will happen. It's just being out there, the volunteering. I've been volunteering for decades and you just don't know where that connection is going to be and who knows somebody, and just keep out there. It is very humbling. It is very depressing being in a job search. And the best thing you can do is find another group that we've got a group here in Tulsa called Overcoming Job Transition. And we get together once a week just to say, you're going to make it, you're going to be okay, here's a connection. And just getting your self-esteem going when you're the only one maintaining it is a really tough thing to do. But know that your talents are needed somewhere. You just need to find it, and they need to find you.
I'd like to add on that also. Again, like Julie said, there are a lot of our libraries out here in Kentucky do a lot of career services, and they especially bring in, like I know on every Tuesday and Thursday, they bring in companies locally to help you with your job searches and get you those interviews. It's free. It's a free service. It's about 3 hours every Tuesday and Thursday. And then those lead into others as well. And so that is a good resource. It's a start. It's someplace to help you get out there.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Go ahead, Sonia. I know there's a few more, and then we got some hand raisers. So
Sure. Do we have a question from someone who is asking, I think this came from Latricia. Is there anything HR or hiring managers look for on a resume, specific time frame of work experience, or inclusion of key skills, for example?
I can tell you one of the things I look for, and I'll tell you a battle I'm having. Post-pandemic, everything changed. I will still have some of my managers saying, I don't want a job hopper. And I'm like, shut up. You can't say that anymore. But they're still judging. So I turned it around on them and saying, you're using your privilege of not having to be in a job search. So it's not a bad thing if you've changed jobs, as long as you tell us why. And there's nothing wrong with putting it in your resume saying, left the job because it was shut down with a pandemic, the business closed, I got promoted. Give us the reason so that we can really sell you to the hiring manager saying, look, they have had a couple of positions, however, it's all explained. Now, if you go back decades, the reason they didn't want job hoppers or gaps in your resumes because they assumed you must have been in prison if you weren't working. That's not the case anymore. So just give us the story. I left here because of this. I moved out of town. I've changed states. I grew up in California, been Texas, been Oklahoma. That explains some of it. So if you're leaving us guessing, we don't have the time to call you and say, really, what happened here? So the more that you can be transparent on what you did and what you learned, and don't tell us that generic, give us the, you improved by X% or this changed by this, and give us that tangible non-fluff of this is what I did here, this is the difference I made, and this is what I can do for you. Because I look for someone who can learn. As long as you're learning, and degrees kind of evidence you are, or if you're pursuing HR, certification, absolutely. If I'm hiring someone from HR, I want to see there's certification there because it shows you're committed to continuing learning because you have to recertify. Those are the things that on your resume, be honest, tell us what the transitions are. Don't be embarrassed about it. If your transition was you were stay at home raising kids, that's an awesome thing. If the employer doesn't like that, you don't want to work for them.
Thank you so much, Julie. We have one more question, and then I'm going to turn it over to Corey because we want some live action, right, Corey? All right. So we had a question from Kyle Jackson, and he's asking, he's interested in working in HR, but wondered, is a business administration degree something that can help him with that? And it looks like he's asking Julie.
Absolutely. I'm not going to play anymore. I'm 62. I graduated from undergrad in 1984. Took 30 years to get that MBA done. I've watched HR change. The difference that we make is when we are a respected business partner, which I have here, and proving you understand business is going to make all the difference. We're not the transactional anymore, paper pushers or any of that. It's like, I'm involved. I've got international offices. I'm going to Mexico next week on business, but I would have to do a harder job of selling that. Hey, I know what business is all about, but I'm like, oh, wait, I have this little MBA that says I know what business is about. So it actually helps showing that you get, how does the company make money? How do you make a profit? And how are you going to maximize that? Then you turn around and, oh, well, let's find the right people to be able to do that and get them trained to do it that way and go from there. So business degree absolutely can translate into HR.
That's wonderful. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Oh, okay. I think this one didn't mute theirs. Thank you so much, all of our panelists. But you're not done yet because I'm going to send it over to Corey, and he's going to take it from here to do the live action that we're looking for. Thank you all, and thank you, Dr. Teague.
Thanks, Sonia. All right. So, and I hope I'm saying this name right. Forgive me if I don't. I'm just going to go with Ebby. Is that okay? And you can come off mute and ask your question to the panelists. Thank you so much.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to ask my question. My name is Ebi Yerin. I graduated in March with business administration with a concentration in management information system. So in terms of job search, I have not limited my my search. You know, I've been basically looking for everywhere that I think business and MIS could apply to, but it's so hard. Like and most time, right? You literally get a rejection email like a few hours after you applied. So, and the thing is, most of this company, they use like AI generated AI screening to like screen resumes now. And also, what advice? I mean, what advice would you give to like just get bypass the screening, because you might even have the skill and maybe you're not using the right word, and you're probably not, just by the AI screening, you're not given a chance at all. And also, like, I would love to ask, like, what kind of services does the SNHU Career Center offer? Because I've contacted them, I think, a couple of times. And because sometimes you don't even know what question you want to ask. Like, are you assigned like a one-on-one person that can help you? Because I think I was, but she sent me an email, and I think it was just once, and we couldn't really get to connect anymore. And it's hard because especially I did online, so I don't even have the direct contact to people, and I was not able to, like, I don't know a lot of people that were majoring in the same thing. So it's not just hard, it's lonely. You don't know where to start from, you don't know where to start looking. So just what advice do you have? Because I have 4 years of experience in customer service. I've worked in healthcare, and I've worked in technical support. I've worked for Apple, but unfortunately I had to, because my last year of school, I have to like just focus on school because, you know, I have to know what I'm doing and not just like, you know, bypass everything. So please, what advice do you have?
I can answer the first part of your question. So when it comes to applicant tracking systems and the AI, so what happens is, from our perspective, is it will measure out how many keywords did you match in our job description compared to your resume, and it's gonna categorize you 90%, 30%, and so then it starts from the highest ranking down low. So the more words and key items you can use and put in your resume that are direct applicable to the job description, it's going to rank you higher. And those are the ones that we're going to interview because they're at the top 20%. So that, as Julie said earlier, she had 800 applicants. We can't get through 800 applicants. We have to take the top 10 to 20% and get through those resumes. So if you can get that job description and alter your resume to reflect that job description with those keywords, then you're going to end up at the top of that applicant tracking.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leslie. And I'll take the second part of that question, Abby, real quick. So for our career services team here, lifetime benefit, you can definitely reach out to us. We have one-on-one support for you. So one of our career advisors will be able to assist you, and they work with, you know, within the business programs. So they're very versed across the board to really help you with your career management and where you're at with that. So that goes from anything from helping you craft a resume for different jobs that you're interested in looking at, to helping you, you know, get your profile up on Handshake. So recruiters and the different employers that we're connected with can view your profile. You can connect with the employers, and you can also network with former and current SNHU students within the community feature of Handshake as well. So we have tons of resources for you, the long and short of it, but we're definitely here to help you. So definitely reach out to us at cocecareer@snhu.edu, and someone will get back to you really promptly. But thank you so much for your question.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go fast and furious here. So next up, we have Makaya. If you want to come off mute and ask your question to the panelists.
Okay, hi. My question was mostly for Leslie. Being that, Miss Leslie, you are a remote home worker, and I wanted to know, like, what does it take on what do you look for on an application being that's trying to work from home? Because I want to work from home, but I don't have experience, but I have more than enough experience with customer service, given that I've been a manager for going on 4 years now. So what do I need to put on my application in order to get approved?
Yeah, so what we're looking for primarily, since you are a remote worker and you're not being supervised, there's no one sitting there watching you, you need to relay across your resume that you are self-motivated and reliable. So, you know, showing jobs that you've done, or taken the lead on, or led other people, and it can be just simple projects and stuff that you've done, but we need to see that you're very self-motivated and will get up in the morning and start working.
Would it help to, like, because I'm really young, so I'm still kind of building my resume as it goes. I'm still learning how to do that. Like, I'm only 21, so I really just graduated high school.
Okay.
Would it help to have recommendation letters from official people? Like, I know an official traffic agent worker who I used to work for as well through the hotel, and I will work on the computer with her. So would things like that help as well?
It'll help, but we don't, our company in particular, we don't go back on recommendation letters. We're actually looking for all the skill sets right there in the front of your resume. Now, I understand you're young. My daughter's the same age as you. I helped her write her resume too. But I mean, you can even take things, since you are young, things that you've done in high school that you were self-motivated on, that you started and accomplished yourself.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be
I'm
live work experiences. It can, you know, depending on your age, it could be something from school.
Okay, I have not tried that feature yet. Thank you.
Mhm.
That's great advice. Thanks, Leslie. Yeah, so super important. So anything that you've done that you can apply to that job and really showcase the skill set that is kind of mirroring what they're asking for, those are the kind of things that you want to highlight on a resume, and we can help you with that in career. So thank you for the question, Micaiah. Next up, we have Trivian. If you want to come off mute and ask your question to our panel.
Yes, hello everyone. Leslie kind of answered my question about the remote, but I also had another question. I recently got my associate's degree for marketing, and I want to use that to get a career. Do you have any advice if I would want to like get a job moving out of state? Like, how do you have any advice for like applying for jobs and getting a job out of state?
Yeah, absolutely. Most companies have a relocation program. They vary significantly. So, you want to definitely check into what that relocation program is. But most of your salaried positions, they will relocate you. So if you find a state that you want to apply in and are interested in relocation, and put that on the top of your resume, under right towards the top that you're open to relocation. That lets them know right away. Because if they see somebody from, say, Wisconsin, and they're like, okay, well, the job's in Texas, would they be interested in moving? You've already answered that question. You're open to relocation.
Yeah, I'm from Oklahoma City, and I like it here and everything. I just want to see new things, and just that'd be good advice to use.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another thing in that same note, if you're putting your address on your resume, don't make it clear that you don't live where the job is. We can't even go by area codes anymore because you just keep your cell phone number with you. So that'd be another reason of like, look, I need someone that is in Kansas and you're in Arizona. I'm not even going to talk. Well, I shouldn't know you're in Arizona. So don't put that on your resume. Just we can contact you, an email address and a phone number.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your question, Trivian. And we got another one here. So Wency, if you want to come off mute and ask your question.
Hi, thank you for taking my question here. So my question is, I am an older student returning back to school. I'm going to be 40 next week. And I have worked most recently, like the past 8 years or so, as a project coordinator. Then I went back and got my project management certificate, hoping to go into project management, but I haven't found a job in project management. So far, just project coordination. And now I'm back in school. And my question is, now that I am back in school and looking for work, what is the best way to portray my interest in tech project management? Because in my head, that would be make for an easier transition into software engineering, which is what I'm studying now. I hope that made sense.
Maybe I can add some of my thought there. Number one, again, going back to what I was saying about the title name, you can even change on your resume your title from project coordinator to project manager, or like even you can do project coordinator / manager and focus on your transferable skills, right? Things that you did as a project coordinator that would be valuable to being a project manager. But then there are different ways, like on LinkedIn, there's a summary section that you can talk about yourself, but also say what is it that you're interested in. Even LinkedIn itself, when you open to network, meaning when you're open to new positions, it asks you what are the titles that you're interested. Project management, technical project management, even program management, technical program management. These are all similar roles. Just focus on what is the transferable skills, either based on your last experience or the school courses that you're taking, and build your resume based on that.
Okay, thank you. Now, I could be wrong, but I feel that when they see my resume and that I'm, studying software engineering, I feel that there's not a connection made in their minds. It's like, okay, well, you have no experience in software engineering. So how can I, like you said, how can I show the transferable skills when I'm ready to go from project manager to software engineer?
So if you're interested in actually, so I think I misunderstood your question initially. So you're interested in actually changing your career to be in software engineering?
Yes, but I'm still in school,
Okay.
and while I'm in school, I
Okay.
have to work, and I would like to get a job as a project manager now while I'm in school, and then starting next year, start looking for work as a software engineer.
Okay, I got you.
So, like,
I mean,
my resume is a bit confusing to people because they're like, well, why do you want to be a project manager if you're studying software engineering? And I want to avoid as much of that as possible because I've been looking for work for 13 months.
okay. Well, you get to choose what to include in your resume. If you think having that degree that you're getting is going to be confusing and stopping you from getting project management role, you can even exclude it. You can just say that you're working on your degree. But to create a bridge from what you're doing now with what you would be doing after your graduation, consider applying for project management in technical field. So some of our, at our company, we have program managers and we actually want them to be technical, right? So they are involved with programs that we do that they have to understand the, what stack we are using, what are the complications in the technical implementation. So that itself is going to give you some of that transferable skills that you're going to need for becoming software engineer. But then definitely take advantage of internship because getting that internship in software engineering on your resume is going to be super valuable for you to find your full-time job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mona. That was awesome advice. Thanks, Wency, for the question. So I want to be mindful of time since we're almost 5 over. I do have one last question here, and it looks like it's from Kenneth Medlock. So Kenneth, if you want to come off mute and ask your question, and then I'm going to leave you with a couple of final thoughts and wrap us up.
All right, thank you. Can everyone hear me? Okay, perfect. This is more like for Julie and Leslie. I'm getting my certificate in human resource management, and I really don't have no experience at all. So, what would be like while I'm in school right now and getting my certificate? What would be a good position to get experience so I can, actually get my resume looked at? Is my question is, where would I start to get experience in human resource?
So you
Like
could
job
start with the
description.
volunteering at some of the career services to start getting some of that experience. Some of those career services that are done local for local chapters do pay minimal amounts, but they do pay. In addition to that, a lot of manufacturing sites, at least ours anyway, will hire entry level, those just coming out of school with their certification for HR and start them from the ground up because we want to work on that succession planning. And so we're always looking for people to start, at that entry level, and we can train them and work you up through the ranks.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks, Kenneth, for your question. Thanks, Leslie. Thank you all to our panelists. Been lovely this evening. Just wanted to quickly share a few quick things before I let you go. Hold on one second. I'm going to do this. So let's go all the way to the end here. There was a few questions, or not a few. There was a lot of questions about networking and how to stay connected, or feeling like we're obviously you're in school online with us, but you want to get connected or get more involved. So we have a whole SNHU Connect community space for you to take advantage of. So I highly encourage you to jump on there. You can connect with other students. You can ask questions. We have our own couple of career services pages on there. The Career Connection community is definitely one you want to get connected with. So feel free to jump on there. There's professional organizations, honor societies, different clubs you can join, and kind of build that sense of community here while you're in school with us. So definitely check that out. You can see all the login information there. And again, our Career Services Department is here to help you. So if you have any questions, needs with regard to resume building or how to network, or you don't know how to get started, definitely connect with us and reach out, and we're there to help you. Again, as our employer relations team, we put on all kinds of different virtual events like this all the time throughout the year. So definitely keep an eye out for more content coming your way. It's a great opportunity for you to jump in here, get your questions answered, learn, and do some networking, and get access to some great organizations that we bring to you. So lastly, again, as a part of Business Career Week, tomorrow we have our Indeed session, our Q&A session with Indeed, and that's going to be an awesome session. That's at noon. So you definitely want to check that out. And we also have another session on Thursday with Sherwin-Williams with their business opportunities and trainee program. So with that, I will kind of wrap us up here. So again, thank you all for joining us this evening. It's truly been a pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Teague, for moderating our panel. You were awesome. And to our panelists, thank you for your time and sharing your advice and expertise and coming back and giving back to your alma mater and a place that you spent some time with already. So with that, I'll drop in the events that are coming the rest of this week in the chat. And thank you all again. Have a great night.